Alright. Let's go, guys. We've got REYNOR in the top left side of the map for a Basilisk. Down here in the bottom right is Team Liquid's CLEM, and it is, of course, Big Gabe's Experience number 3. You may have heard this one casually referred to as the Big Gabe LAN tournament in the StarCraft community recently. It's I believe it was a $5,000, pretty damn good prize pool, held at the, essentially it's like a LAN center slash like mini convention hall type thing, the Experience Center or something like that over in Cologne where Big Gabe lives. And you know what? Turns out he's used his connections in the scene. He's managed to lure REYNOR and CLEM here amongst some other big names like Harstam and Lambo. Pretty damn good lineup for, you know, a smaller mid-sized LAN, I guess you could call this one. But really cool to see these guys playing in the upper bracket finals, and Big Gabe did just dump me the replays. Now, keep in mind, not only do we have CLEM and REYNOR here, but CLEM and REYNOR are, of course, by far, I would say, the big favorites in this tournament. So whoever loses this series, decent chance of them playing, again, this is the upper bracket finals. Winner of this goes straight to the grand finals, and the loser goes down to the lower bracket finals. But they have pretty good chance of winning against probably either Lambo or Harstam or Christian or one of those guys down there, most likely to be their opponent. So there's a decent chance we end up with kind of like the Monday Night Weeklies, 2 or 3 matches in a row. The reason it could be 3 is, let's say REYNOR wins this game, or this series, and then CLEM wins the lower bracket finals, they rematch. If CLEM wins the rematch, best of 5, it activates a final best of 3. So we might end up with multiple series back-to-back. And considering the last best of 5 these guys played was already a barn burner over in... There was one in Revival, there was one in Wardy 2025 as well. They played a bunch of banger series recently, actually. So I'm just really excited to see what goes on. I think if we do end up with multiple series, rather than doing one of those big 3-hour Monday Night Weekly videos that I've done before, I might split these up and just do consecutive day after day uploads. But we'll see how it goes. It's just kind of, I think I've been putting a few too many hour and a half, 2-hour long uploads, and I know it's hard to finish watching any of those. But if we do 2 or 3 days back to back, might be a bit better for you guys. Anyways, it is going to be a hatch gas pool, third hatch. Reaper coming in there for CLEM as well. And let's see if he can get that tax. Only 4 Zerglings here for REYNOR. You guys know I'm a big fan of 4 Zerglings over 6, but you've got to be really tight with your micro not to lose any of those. Pulls back the weak one there, and the Queen's going to save the day. Nicely done by REYNOR. I like the straight line third base as well. I think this one's much easier to defend than that one on the ledge. Oh, and he's going to go straight for the creep tumor. Very risky creep tumor, but I think it's well worth sacrificing a Zergling there to get that tumor down, and that's because the Reaper was damaged enough that REYNOR knew he couldn't just run in and snipe it, tanking Queen shots without dying, so very well played there. Behind this, Starport's on the way. It is a... Oh, it's a second gas! It's a second gas! Okay, wow. CLEM's been doing double gas, super aggro play against REYNOR so much. I think he's learned that this is not particularly high win percent against like Solar, who's just so good on his defense, but because REYNOR's so greedy deep in his heart of hearts, I think CLEM's found some good success, especially off just the early Hellions. Just because normally if you go 3 commands and your Hellions are delayed a little bit, with this build you can dive those first 2, maybe even 4 Hellions. That could be big. REYNOR's going to lose an Overlord. Wow. Oh, that Marine. Oh, wow. That's actually amazing. I guess there's no pillar. There is a pillar over here. Surely he could have got to this pillar if he sent it early, right? 1 Marine takes forever to kill that Overlord. That's an unforced error there, I think. REYNOR just a bit occupied with the creep tumor with the Reaper. Gets a bit distracted. And does leave himself open a little. Banshee Cloak is on the way. Remember, with this build, you need to do a lot more damage. You need to force a much bigger response from the Zerg, but Zerg needs earlier Spore Crawlers, more Zerglings, faster, and it's only going up to 7 Zerglings right now. That's so dangerous. REYNOR sees the 4 Hellions. He needs all of his Queens up here right now. Right now. He cannot hesitate on these Queens. He's hesitating. Okay, the extra Queens just not coming up from the 3rd for some reason. Does lose 1 drone, but only 1 drone. Could have been much worse. Very good Ling dodging. I'm surprised the Queen stayed split there. I guess he just wants to stay split because he knows the Hellions are faster than the Queens, but I always think that first 4 Hellion run by is the scariest moment. Luckily, REYNOR gets through it. He's only lost 2 Zerglings, 1 drone, 1 Overlord. This is still a good opening for REYNOR so far, who has an 8 worker advantage. Behind this, 3rd command center goes down. CLEM, he hasn't lost any units, so he's still, you know, doing pretty well. Banshee, number 1, is making its way across the map. It feels like this Banshee is late, guys. I would need to go back and check the replay, but normally you can be arriving with Cloak by about now. So, yeah, he's going to be hitting well after 5 minutes with the Cloak, I think. Well, not if he goes straight to the natural. right on about 510, he'll get to that worker line. Spores are finishing just in time in the main and third, but not the natural. He delayed the one in the natural because this is the least likely base, but Clem studied REYNOR. He's seen that REYNOR is always delaying the spore in the natural. That's why he beelined here. Especially with this base layout, it's actually not as well defended as the natural is in different map locations and expansion locations. One queen goes down, very nicely done. 16 lings here. The lair's almost finished. That's going to give you the mobile detection to deal with both of these banshees. How quick is he to morph an overseer? Carapace starts. No overseer just yet. It's a bit greedy. He needs that overseer, and he does morph it right on the front line. 4th hatchery at 5.5 minutes is insane. If you can secure that against the guy who's done this 2-gas build, this delayed 3rd build like Clem has, that early 4th can just absolutely launch you into the mid game. Clem also runs the risk of doing this build too much at the moment, to the point where REYNOR is so used to playing against it. And as a result, his defense is going to get better every single time he plays against it. Oh, 3 units do go down. Hey Pig, can Queen Sailor teammates biological units even if they're not Zerg? Can you transfuse like a Zealot or like a Marauder, guys? Does anyone... I mean, I don't play enough team games to actually know. I feel like you should be able to, since Metamax can heal units. And there's no like specific Zerg tag to make, you know, on a unit. You should be able to. It's just kind of funny. Imagine you've got like, you know, part of your arm gets like chopped off. You'll get like a big chunk out of your shoulder or something. And then a queen comes and just plops some Zerg biomass there to heal it. And you're like, oh God. Do I just have like Zerg tissue there now? Like what the hell, man? I mean, it is called transfuse. Maybe it's just a blood transfusion. Just have some Zerg blood in you. Oh, this is a bit too deep on creep for Clem. Clem's about to get punished. 2 Hellions, 3 Hellions will go down. At least he gets some out of there, but that's a really good catch for REYNOR, because look, he's going fast Carapace Hydras, guys. The early Hydra build, and defending the first Hellbat Marine timing is quite tough, because the Hellbats are quite tanky on the front line. But I think now with 11 Hydras, he should be able to deal with this. He's got 54 Zerglings. He should be able to crush this. I think for REYNOR, it's more about how quickly can he get back into droning, Infestation Pit, double upgrades. That's the more important thing for him, is he's got Hydras, Groove Spine's about to kick in, and Carapace. And look at the upgrade timing. Carapace and +1/1. Perfectly timed up. So just when Terran gets that upgrade advantage, the Carapace kicks in. This is actually like one of those things that Zergs should have been doing for years, is actually matching Terran upgrades, because Terrans, how many wins they used to get just pushing when they had that upgrade advantage, and Zergs were never ready for it. The fast Carapace has really countered those timings. Hydras go a bit far forward though. Where are the Lings? Huge mistake for REYNOR. Massive mistake not having any of his Lings here. This is a disastrous mistake for REYNOR, and that costs him big time. He had an army that should have absolutely walloped Clem. He should have destroyed that force, but his Zerglings just weren't there. Should not have had his Hydras out so far if his Lings weren't in position to flank already, and that's going to cost him, man. Units lost tab, you can see. He lost 11 Hydras. Hydras, just so you guys understand, are a unit you don't want to trade. You want them to survive wherever possible. He is up to 85 workers, so I still think REYNOR's in a good spot, but that was him giving a little bit of room back to Clem to drag his way kind of back into a competitive mid-game and late game. We know Clem is so hard to put out of the match. 4th command center's on the way. He does have 2 factories, Drilling Claws. Now you might be wondering, why is he going Drilling Claws against Hydra and Festa? Now the reason is because Clem's drunk, guys. He basically believes he can out-micro anyone, even though Hydra's counter Widow Mines. He just loves to just headbutt Widow Mines because it gives him massive mobility. And it's so ridiculous. If it was anyone but Clem, I'd say this is a huge mistake, because no one else has the multitasking to make sure this works. But Clem says, look, if I have Widow Mines, his Lings, if he goes Banes, which a lot of the Zergs like to do. I think Banes off this is bad this early. I think you should go Banes much later, which I love that REYNOR's actually going Lurkers instead. Because Lurkers count as the Widow Mines even harder. But he basically feels like, you know, the Widow Mines allow him to push 2 or 3 areas, and they make it really hard for the Zerg to deal with without taking massive hits to the chin. Queen does go down just barely. Widow Mine's going to get a big boom. 15 Zerglings do go down. Hatchery in the bottom left on the gold does get sniped. Now, we saw in the last series, REYNOR kept trying to take this gold. This gold is a terrible base for Zerg to take. This base up here, the middle base, and even the top right base are much better expansions. This is something REYNOR needs to clearly fix in his expansion pattern. This base is right next to the Terran's natural 4th over here. So we saw him almost lose last time they played on this map because he insisted on taking that. Hoping he fixes that in this game. Oh, Clem, he's managed to get a snipe on. Oh, he's so naughty, isn't he? The army just wasn't split up for Reynor, and you need to. Once you get to 10 minutes, once you get to maxed out armies, your army needs to be split to both sides of the map at once. But you can see Reynor's kind of got all of his Hydras on the north. No Infestors with them to actually catch this army, and then just Lings. Okay, he does have a few Hydras down south, which is good. Lurker upgrades are coming in, which is nice. He's on 1-2 upgrades against 2-2. Who's going to start the next upgrades first? Both sides, of course, very occupied right now, very busy. 8 barracks are now up with tech labs, which means the Marauder transition will come in. Actually, this 8th barracks didn't build its tech lab, but all the other ones are there. So enough Hydras to defend that main base. No lunge ready just yet. Oh, good fungal. Great fungal. Great fungal. The Infestor almost gets itself killed, but tries to micro it back. It still does get shot down. A few of those Widow Mines are going to be able to fire, but that's a good cleanup there for Mr. Ray. Reynor's going to take a 5th base in the middle now. I think that should always be the base he takes. I don't mind taking the gold as long as you're expanding elsewhere and you're just going, if he doesn't notice this, I can get away with it. But if you're relying on that gold as your only 5th base, that's when it becomes a big issue. So I think this is much smarter for Reynor. He can still rebuild this gold, see if he can sneak away with it. In general, you want to force the Terran to have to push different disparate areas. You don't want to allow a Terran to concentrate their forces in one area. That's where they're going to have a bit more success, is microing one engagement perfectly with the Ghosts, the Marines, the Widow Mines, everything all supporting each other. But if you're attacking 2 or 3 places at once, they've got to micro so hard. It's difficult for them to have Widow Mines in all the correct areas. It's hard for them to use their Ghosts without getting the snipe cancelled. And it can work out just so very nicely. Now, Reynor finally starts +3 Carapace, but it was Clem. He was a bit earlier onto 3-3. Please stop calling him Ray. That's his name! Does it make you think of the really good new Star Wars movies? I feel like the only thing that can make the new Star Wars movies better is if Jar Jar Binks was in them. I feel like they're almost perfect, but that's like the one thing missing. Yeah. You know, it's a shame, but oh, little lag spike there. Yeah, it's all good. You know, I think it's good though for things to not always be perfect, right? Sometimes they've got to leave room for improvement just so we can get hyped about the future, right? You don't want to just completely hit a home run from the start. You gotta leave some room to get the fans excited. All right, Vikings coming out as well. Clem's just turtling now. Reynor is letting this go to late game. He's adding the Banes now. I think the Banes might be a little bit late. Dude, this is so weird. When I click on the production tab, sometimes it lags. Okay. Well, now that I mentioned it, it's going to stop. 3 command centers are there. Viking goes after the Overseer. Gonna pull back with that. No, it's because you're not close enough to call him Ray. What are you guys talking about? I told him to fix his worker saturation. He's done it. They're on hold fire. These lurkers. Oh, he activates them. But he's not going to kill anything. Oh, he gets a few ghosts. He gets like 3 or 4 ghosts. It's not terrible. But I would say Clem's fine with that. He's still got 9 more ghosts where that came from. Many more building and mass command centers. I think Clem's worker count I'm impressed by. 76. It's not too high. It's a very clean game. You're not losing a lot of SCVs. You don't really need to replace any. So if you can stay a bit lower on workers, it means you've got a very big standing army. He's got a Viking patrolling the right. Make sure no Overseers in the back. He's got 2 turrets down here. So Overseers can't fly past unless you fly like 2 or 3 past at once. But Reynor is embracing and accepting late game, and that's something I really don't like. I do think he had a really good opening. And whilst, yes, he had the bad Hydra engagement here, I still think he should have had a window to do something. But I wonder against Clem, like, well, what should that be? And I think it's a Lurker attack. If you think about it, surely he could have gone with, like, Ling Lurker, right? Maybe he needed to add Banes to make that style work, but when the Ghosts are first coming out, and it's mostly just Marine Widowmine, could he have got Lurkers across the map? One of the big things I've been thinking Clem needs to be punished for a bit more is single Lurkers burrowing everywhere before he has Mass Orbital up, because he won't have enough scans to deal with it. But because he's so good with his drops, it feels like he just gets through this stage where his army's way worse than the Zergs by just basically saying, I'm dropping here, I'm running around. And then even though his army's way worse at fighting, because he just threatens drops for a few minutes, and then he's like, well, now I have 10 Ghosts and Libs and Planetaries and 8 Orbitals. And you're like, that's the window. Quite obviously, this is not me being a genius StarCraft analyst, where I'm like, especially if you go Lurkers, you got Lurker Hydra, the Widow Mines should be near useless against that. Like, there's clearly a window I'm not saying it's easy to smash that window in, but I think that needs to be a focus point if you can pull off a build like this as Reynor. Get in there during that stage. The Banshees are still alive, and he's actually got them on a patrol path. No F2 for Clem. This really, I talked about it many years ago, but what changed Clem as a player was he stopped pressing F2. So he can just leave units in different areas now. If you keep spamming F2, that just doesn't work. Now the Banshees are there. He might need to go Nidus Worms up here. Good push on the south. Reynor's just going to give up the gold base for now. Problem is there's only 2 middle bases, the gold in there. Nidus Worm tries to go up. He's going to get sniped. Another Nidus Worm on the front. Oh, he's going to go for a jump. Ghost in the open, ghost in the open. Big mistake for Clem. Big mistake for Clem if those Banelings can get on top. That is a big if. Where's the rest of the Hydraling Bane? Oh, he's got too many Hydras. These ghosts are going to shred. Got to pull back with those Hydras. Yeah. Okay, so the problem that Reynor has is there's a bit too much supply in drones, queens, lurkers, Hydras. He doesn't actually have that much Ling Bane. Because, like, his Ling Bane washed up so quickly on those ghosts. Also, of course, Clem's just really good at spreading backwards. +3 vehicle plating coming in. Command center there as well. +1 flyer attacks. He's going to start adding those air upgrades as Reynor. His Hydra count, like I said, though, is too high. So the problem that happens with 25 Hydras is they all get stuck behind each other. One of the rules I give new players when I'm coaching them is, like, you can go to a maximum of 25 Hydras, but they need to be split in 2 halves. If you're coming from 2 different angles, where you've got half your Hydraling Bane on one side with 12 Hydras, half on the other side with 12 Hydras, then they're not going to get stuck behind each other as much. But when you have 25 Hydras like this, it's really hard to get an angle where they're all actually doing something. Hydraling Bane's going to go forward. He's only got 20 Banelings, keep in mind. Oh, gets himself a Ghost, though. Ghost in a Widowmine, not bad. The lib count's very scary, though, and I think Reynor very well knows he cannot fight into those libs. He absolutely cannot. He needs to wait for Corruptors. Baneling's going to try and roll through the lib zones. Hydras will get the command center. Hydras need to run away. He's going to trade a couple Hydras and Banes and Lings. A couple more Ling Bane goes down as well. Nidus Worm down on the south side. Units lost tab is 5,500 in Clem's favor. That was a good base snipe, and this is always the weak point of Terran, is when they take this base number 6, they're a bit more spread, but 60 more Zerglings building. He's going to need a lot more Banes. The Hydra's turn. They do grab a Liberator or 2. Still got 19 Hydras. He's going to have to give this base up. Wait for another 20 Banes to morph. But if he can catch him on the way home would be the key. If he goes around, takes the Watchtower, and then pushes through this area, he can catch Clem on the way home. But Reynor's got to move out into the open so that he can kind of flank this army from 2 sides. If he was already down here, he's going to go for it now. That's what I'm talking about. The Banes are a bit far behind, but Clem just waltzing through the middle of the map. Not a care in the world. 0 respect. The Lurkers are distracting him as well, remember. That's part of why he was caught off guard there. Those Lurkers did pop off down the south. Sorry, I should have got a shot of that earlier. Banshees Planetary trying to defend this, and it looks like they will just barely be able to. Hydraling Bane forces Clem to hide and cower in the top right side of the map, and Reynor dives forward, taking advantages, getting 20 SCVs, a planetary and an orbital, massive snipes. If you can take out these turrets and sensor towers as well, that's all really good value that normally you don't have access to. Beautiful moves there. Does lose lurkers down here. If he'd shift-click the repairing SCVs a little bit better, he might have got that planetary, but very hard to do in the heat of the moment. +3 Rangers on the way as well. He's already got +2 melee adrenal glands. Lots of good upgrades. Hydraling Bane is one of the nice mobile armies for late game once the Terran's en masse ghosts. So just to understand the flow, guys, when I was talking about pushing with lurkers, that's early when there's not many ghosts. Once there's lots of ghosts and libs out, suddenly you want Ling Bane Hydra, or even Ling Bane Corruptor is actually more tailored for this, because if those libs are sieged, Hydras aren't going to do jack. Banshees in the bottom left side. That hatchery will fall. Middle of the map. Reynor does get pushed back. Lings do deny the top right side base. Spore Crawler finishes, and it will take care of at least one of those Banshees. Can it take out the second? This will be a close fight. They might trade. Oh, Banshee barely wins that one. Hydraling Bane's going to try to fight, but Hydras do not beat libs, and the libs are just going to absolutely blitz their way over that. The Ling Bane will take out a bunch of ghosts. Oh, about 6 ghosts go down, but he's building more Hydras. He needs Corruptors. Seeing this lib count, he should have already been in the mindset of swapping Corruptors. Reynor needs to build those Corruptors. He needs to do it soon, because he's got ghosts and bio on his front door. He's already worried about it. The Spore Crawler is actually going to do some really nice damage to those libs, really helping out, as is the Spine Crawlers. Finally, that Banshee goes down. There is still a Lurker down here in this bottom side as well. Lings are ravaging Clem's economy. Shit has hit the fan, and I think Reynor's probably happier about that than Clem, because he is, even though he's stressed right now, I think this is a better situation for him. Hydras go to the right side. The Widow Mines do take out a bunch of those Hydras, but as long as the Hydras don't have libs on them, they can do damage. These Hydras are in range of these units. The Lings can't do anything, though. You can't clear these units. Where are the Corruptors, Reynor? His old instincts are kicking in. He's only building Hydraling Bane. Corruptors are the hard counter to this Terran army. He's got so much more bank, but he's just forgotten about it, and he's making Hydraling Bane. It's too stressful, and I can't blame him. I would have purely gone back to instincts in this situation 5 minutes earlier. He's done it, of course, once the shit's hit the fan and once things have got chaotic, and that is an issue. Do Libs one-shot Hydras? No, they do not. They still take 2 shots no matter what on the upgrades, I believe. Actually, with +3, I think they might one-shot them, but he doesn't have +3. He's 2-shotting in this scenario anyway. You guys can double-check the maths on that. I think they do 90... Wait, what's the base Lib damage is 75? And I think it goes up to 90 with +3, which means as long as there's carapace, which there is, I don't think you ever one-shot Hydras in a realistic scenario. I think it's always 2 shots. But if you've got a single marine shot or anything like that, the Hydras are damaged at all, then they will get 1 shot. No Corruptors is a huge mistake. He's going for Vipers. This is slowing down the pace. Clem doesn't have the money to keep up this sort of fighting, but I think REYNOR here is making a bit of a mistake by committing to no Corruptors and going Vipers against a guy who does have a good ghost count. Yes, Parasitic Bomb is the dream on these air units, but you're not going to be able to hit it, especially not with 4 Vipers. They are going to be an EMP magnet. REYNOR's income has now dropped. He's lost too many hatcheries. He's got a fresh one here. He's going to try and take the top right, but a Widow Mine will deny that. He's going to clear these Widow Mines. I still think this unit's lost time is not that bad for him, but because he's lost all of his income and Clem's being given time to mine 6 bases right now, Clem's like fighting back into it. We've got 21 Hydras. Once again, way too many in my opinion. I think 10, 12 would have been okay here, but without Corruptors, how do you ever fight these 11 Liberators front on is the question. And it's a question which I believe he's just kind of forgotten about in the heat of the moment. +2 flyer attacks is on the way. Now, Clem's doing a good job of hanging in, but keep in mind, guys, Orbital in the middle and Orbital in the north. He needs to leave units defending those bases or they will go down. REYNOR with a very quick cancel on the top right. And it's so hard for him to defend, but he's got a giant army. REYNOR's taken too long on the Remax here. If he built Corruptors immediately, I think this is checkmate. I think this is easily his game. He's had opportunities, but I think one of the things we notice is it's not just REYNOR. You guys are wondering, why do you... Pig, you're always talking about people making mistakes here against Clem. Like, what's the deal? Are these Zergs bad? No, they're playing Clem. He puts on an insane amount of pressure. It's really hard to deal with, guys. It's very hard to think straight when you're dealing with this. I get to see everything. These players do not. Double Parasitic Bomb doing crazy damage. The Bane's going towards the Ghosts and Marauders. Those Parasitic Bombs, absolutely delectable. The Command Center goes down. He pops like 80% of the air units. And you know what was crucial, guys? The Ghosts went for an EMP and REYNOR reacted. He pulled his Viper back. Only 1 of the 3 Vipers got hit by an EMP. I'll try to show that fight in the end of game rewind. 22 minutes. Remind me at the end of this. But he basically juked I don't know if it was a double or a single EMP. And he only got hit by 1 of them on a single Viper, which is why he had all that Parasitic Bomb energy. That was really well done. If REYNOR doesn't do that micro, he gets completely hit on all 4 Vipers by EMP. And remember, if you get EMP'd, you don't have 125 energy for Parasitic Bomb. It's an incredibly expensive spell. He'd just have to, like, maybe abduct a few Liberators, which is really nowhere near as effective, especially with those clumped air units. Ling's coming in, finally going to take this top right, top left. Very good choice to take both of these. Looks like a Hydra comes down to defend that gold base as well. REYNOR is... He's still got some money in the bank. I wouldn't say he's rich, though. And I think pulling back here is the right call. Trying to still take advantage of these orbitals. I think he should still keep trying to do small Ling run buys on the top right. But it might be time for him to rotate here onto this base. I know there's not a lot of minerals and gas there, but it's just that's going to open up a new front. Whereas otherwise, obviously this is the most important base here and here. But if you can kind of know that Clem leaves his units up here, he has to. Potentially, if you can find the room with all this map control to shift down here, that'd be huge. And Clem's almost anticipating it. He actually moves a bunch of bio mine down there. He's keeping his army really well split. Dude, Clem's really good on his leg, and he understands where the weaknesses are. REYNOR's going to go up here, clean up these guys. That Widow Mine's going to get a good shot. The Marauders, of course, will go down to the Zerglings. Lingbane Hydra's going to come in and get Parasitic Bombs. Parasitic Bombs could be big. Oh my god, neither player was watching at the start of that fight because Clem was counter-pushing. Parasitic Bombs land massive damage. And Clem loses yet another base and a bunch of ghosts. He's going to push the south side. Is there anything inside the Nidus for him to defend? There is not, but he might be able to get there to defend in time. Who knows? Clem's going to chase him right now with the smallest army. This is hilarious. This is the most Clem thing ever, guys. This is absolutely a small dog yapping at a bear, and the bear decided to swipe the dog. That was... This is the most Clem move ever, is chasing that army with 3 libs and 4 ghosts. He's like, you get out of here. This is my house. I don't know, man. I think this might be REYNOR's house now. I think REYNOR's got this one. Hydraling Bane Viper doing well. He's got a few Infestors coming out. Gold base does get denied. Really well played, man. Really well played. REYNOR does end up winning the game. And you know, this is what's so beautiful about StarCraft is there's like, I think his first defense was imperfect. I think he missed an opportunity to win or at least do big damage with like early lurkers by sending individual lurkers to start harassing different bases and the like, rather than just putting 5 on the watchtower, which as you guys saw didn't really do anything. I think REYNOR missed a few opportunities. He also didn't remax on Corruptors. Despite that, he did so many things good. His opening was immaculate. That fast carapace was fantastic. His Hydraling Bane positioning was really well done here. And it just goes to show that a guy like CLEM is going to force mistakes out of everyone. But also it goes to show, even at the very tippity top level, no one plays perfect StarCraft. That's friggin' awesome. So the reason I didn't like the Vipers, guys, is too often in this scenario, the Vipers just get double EMP'd. And then you're basically trying to push through 11 Liberators that are sieged up with nothing else except that, and that just really does hurt. Now let me check. Did I overrate this EMP dodge? Let's take a look. So we've got the Vipers, guys. They're going to come in. Okay, so you can see he threw 3 EMPs down, but the Vipers turned back there. Only one front Viper got clipped. The Ghost had to turn to run because the Zerglings were on top of them. That was really good. Nah, that was huge. And then these guys all siege in a clump because he's just panicked trying to defend. He's just got his army here, so he doesn't have time to like think about it. He's just got to quickly prepare. And obviously once the Libs already siege, they can't move. Parasitic Bomb is going to do 120 damage. It doesn't stack having multiple Parasitic Bombs. You throw multiple because obviously you're going to get EMP'd otherwise anyway. But damn, dude, that was a really good fight. And I think that's the point where if CLEM was able to get one good fight at this stage, he's maxed. He's up 30 army supply. He's totally back into this game. But he actually was predicting that REYNOR would do the move I was talking about. Bust this base and then get on your rally and your production, and therefore it's really hard for you as a Terran to defend the bottom left in your production and the top right at the same time. I think also CLEM just wanted to keep denying the gold, which is why he split so many units away. But yeah, he wanted to stay active. He didn't want to try and just turtle, and that's like the nature of CLEM, is be aggressive. Best defense is a good offense. But he gets caught out. Too many units. If he had all of his libs here, pre-siege, spread out, sure, that's great. It's just really hard for him to track exactly where the Zerg army's coming from. Maybe should have scanned it a little bit more to keep track. Either way, great game 1 for REYNOR. Takes game 1 against CLEM. All right, that was a pretty damn good game 1 for REYNOR, guys. I really am impressed by that, because no game against CLEM goes perfectly, but can you find the victory in the midst of it? And I thought he gave CLEM a bit too much time to get up to the 5 base, but then once that 6th base goes down, there is always a bit more of the Terrans just stretched a bit too thin. REYNOR got some really good fights. I think it was the Lurker Nidus on the 4th base distracting CLEM. Him moving his army through the middle of the map was such a huge moment and a big misstep for CLEM. CLEM's going to be kicking himself for that, guys. Now he's going to go 2 Rax Reaper, it looks like. 1 Barracks proxied on the other side of the map. This is a very aggressive 2 Rax Reaper. You can get quite a few drone kills very early. So if you go ahead and just go for like a 3rd hatchery here, something like that really early, you can end up taking massive damage to this. Looks like pool timing 112. Not too bad. And I did message REYNOR before this match, right? After our last casts, about the doubling up worker issue I noticed, which was mostly in PvZ when the Protoss would bounce his worker, and he'd end up with 3 workers on one of these far patches and only 1 on a close patch. But that even happened in 1 or 2 of his ZVTs recently. And I DM'd him about it, and he said, advice taken, please send me more advice like that, dude. You know, he's like, I will never say no to tiny details that I miss while I'm focusing on the, you know, the big picture. He's like, dude, any time. Which was really cool. I was, you know, a bit tentative because sometimes players do get their knickers in a knot when you DM them unsolicited advice. But I did say unsolicited advice incoming, warning, as my impromptu. I also gave him the sandwich. You guys know the criticism sandwich. It's where if you're going to criticize someone, you give them a compliment, and then you sandwich the criticism in between 2 compliments. So I complimented something I really liked in one of his games. Then I gave him a little bit of feedback, and then another compliment. So I was like, very, very diplomatic, very, very tactical, you know? Spine crawler instantly. Instant spine crawler. Oh, he knew what he was up against, eh? Manson is already down. This is not a 3 racks, but already a bunch of Zerglings going down. Dude, the Reapers of CLEM are so scary here. Good pullbacks on his drones, but he's out of Zerglings. Queen's going to have to focus the low hit point Reaper. No, it's all right. He's already done the damage to that one. Doesn't lose anything, but 4 drones, 1 Zergling. Okay. Sorry, 4 Zerglings, 1 drone, I should say. But because he went for that quick third, like I was saying, this is a pretty hard scenario. He's only got 18 drones. He's trying to re-drone now. But this is a lot of damage, man. He's going to have Zerglings blocking the Reaper jump-in point, which is big. I think the Spine Crawler should move forward. He needs the Spine on the front, and then the Queens can go cover the high ground, which he's got to do now. The Reapers are going to run to the right side. There's going to be 4 Reapers jumping in. These Queens need to get up here as quickly as possible, because otherwise they're going to get grenaded. Grenade here could be big. Yeah. He's actually just going to fight the Queens. Clem doing some really good damage so far. He doesn't... oh my gosh, the Queens might lose this fight. He's pushing him to the ledge could be good, but it's really scary for REYNOR right now. Oh my god, these Reapers. These Reapers! Oh my god! Okay, the Lings are just going to commit. Both Queens survive, but he almost needs to, like, stay on the ledge now, because these Queens are so weak, and it might be worth running past the Spine to snipe them. Spine Crawler has 7 range, though, keep in mind. It's really good against Reapers. Doesn't quite two-shot them if they're at full life, but not too far off. Third Command Center comes in. Factory goes on to this for Hellion production, and we're going to see a Hellion Banshee follow up. Now, REYNOR does have 3 hatcheries up, and he kept both Queens alive, so I got to say, this could have been so much worse. He's on a tightrope, but I think this is very much a transition that can be okay for him. The problem is he can't really use this production on the third for drones right now because he can't protect it. He's going to start to now, and I guess with... he's got 12 Zerglings. The problem is going to be, you know, what Queens can he send to the front? He's got 2 red hit point Queens, yeah? Did he transfuse one of them? He's only got 3 Queens. He must have transfused one of them. But I don't like this orange hit point Queen being on the front. She's so fragile. Like 2 Reaper volleys, and she's probably dead. Banshee Cloak is on the way. He's back on gas only now. It's going to be hard for REYNOR to get a lair up in time. He's going to go Roach Warren second gas. I don't know if that's going to be in time. Oh god. He's only got 4 Queens, 1 Spine, no Roach Warren, which means he kind of has to just mass Zergling to beat this. And he could do it, but if Clem realizes how many Zerglings there are and doesn't let himself get surrounded, then this is really awkward for REYNOR. Because these Lings aren't going to be good units long term either. He might have to Ling counterattack, but look, the wall-off's up. Super safe play for Clem. Okay, these guys are going to try and flank from behind. And then Queens and Zerglings from the front as well. Okay. I think REYNOR might have to just pull the trigger on this. But look, there's a Hellion even looking for the flank. Clem knows something's up. He knows what to watch out for, but he doesn't realize where they are. If REYNOR spreads these Lings out, he can trap him. But, oh, Clem escapes. He escapes. Oh, and he's got Banshees against what is now turning into a Ravager Ling all-in. This is a disaster. It's game over. The Cloaked Banshee's the checkmate. Seeing that Banshee, REYNOR has nothing he can do against that. Roaches have to come forward. The Lings haven't even counterattacked yet. The Banshee's here. He's got no detection. And he starts a lair and spores now, but you can tell REYNOR was just kind of hoping this wasn't the case. And finds himself trapped here. I think REYNOR took a bit too long to make a decision. Oh, the door's down! Oh my god, huge mistake for Clem. Okay, huge mistake for Clem. This might actually give REYNOR a path back into this game. Now the Banshee's about to come out. These Lings are wasting time, though. These Lings need to kill the SCVs. That's what he needs to be doing right now. There's no Hellions here. These Zerglings are doing massive damage, but they don't have as much surface area as I think they would have liked here. He's going to try and take out the Marine as well. He's going to get some SCVs. Roachling trying to deal with this. If these Lings can get in the front door, that would be huge, but they're not going to be able to. He's going to have to just go after the reactors. Maybe as a bit of a consolation prize. More drones coming up behind this. REYNOR only has 4 Queens behind, which means this Hellion Reaper could counterattack and murder his work account. He has no army at home. Right? No, he's kept a few Roaches, actually. He's kept 3 Roaches and a few Zerglings at home. If these Lings survive, that's 30 worker kills. Is this now salvageable? He's up 10 workers. He's still in a bad spot because the Banshees are here, the Hellions are here, there's no creep spread, no 4th base, but I think now it might be a game where you could possibly recover that building being up in the wall, costing Clem so huge. Big mistake for him. Oh! Hey Pig, is this live or recorded? Okay, so I do live streams. Live streams are never recorded. Sugarth. That's why it's a live stream. I know some people actually record things. This is a replay, though, from the Big Gave tournament, which is like 2 days ago. 2 days ago? 1 day ago? I don't know, it was yesterday or the day before. You guys tell me. I think it was 2 days ago, because it was during the viewer tournament, yeah. $5,000 land in Cologne. Banshee's going to the right. Hellion Reaper rotating. Spire Bane Nest is such a shocking transition from this situation. I don't think REYNOR can really make this transition work with no 4th and 5th base, though. The problem that he's going to run into here is just basically you're going to have Mutiling Bane. Clem's going to have like 2-1 bio mines, and Clem scans. Clem just scanned the Spire, I think. The Lings get 3 SCVs. It's a good trade for those Lings, but he sees the Spire, turrets go down, and you just need to build a second factory as Clem and not get all these units caught, especially if you pull these units home to defend any potential all-in. That could be big. The Banshees come forward. He's going to lose one of them to the Queens. Losing a Banshee for a Roach, I think that's something REYNOR's happy about. Clem should not be, but only on 3 hatcheries. It's a very intensive lava style. So he's got to transfer workers from his main, take a 4th, take a 5th, try and make some magic happen here, but I think the Marine count has stim, it has shields. There's no Evo chambers out for REYNOR, and it looks like REYNOR's thinking about doing like a 0-0 Lingbane Muta all in. But this game is way too deep for that to work. You know, this is something that needed to be hitting 20 seconds ago, or maybe 30 seconds ago with Bane speed and a ton of Lingbane and mutas, but I'm struggling to find what he can do with this army now. Zergling's going to try and surround the Hellion Reaper. The Hellion Reaper has just been a menace. Hellion's actually standing their ground. Bit of a mismicro there for Clem. Shocking that he just lets those units die. Banshees are going to fly in. Only 1 Queen moves over to there to defend. Not enough to deal with it, but there's a Spore Crawler REYNOR could pull behind. Oh, he's not watching. Mutas have to pull home for this. Youchies. So he does lose a Queen. Finally, the Banshees go down. Double Evo Chambers on the way. REYNOR's going to try and turn this into a bit more of a normal game, but this is already a massive 3-base push, and it's not even an all-in. A 4th command center could go down behind this as well. I don't see any way you stop this with 6 Banes, 60 Zerglings, 4 Roaches, and 9 Mutas. REYNOR has a kind of hodgepodge of units that he's kind of just rallied together. And he's down in supply, out upgraded. Those 2 tanks are actually very difficult to deal with as well. Mutas will come in, find the SCV on the command center. Not going to be able to get the command center itself as the reinforcing Marines do stim over to protect that. Command center doesn't... Oh, it does get a new SCV on it. Never mind. All right, Mutas rotate left. Are we going for a low economy game? Well, REYNOR's stuck in a low economy game. Clem's still in a medium economy. Like, he's building a 4th and stuff. It's not as far ahead as he's normally be in a game, but compared to where REYNOR is, Clem is a rich boy. He can throw his Amex card at this man. Oh! A couple of Marines do get clipped by the front Banelings, but the tanks are going to get jumped on. The Marines actually pulled too far back there, I think. Slight miss micro here for Clem. Can the Banelings connect? So many Marines. The Marines a bit too slow for the secondary stim, but it doesn't matter, dude. This is off creep. Everything is off creep. This whole map is off creep, which means... Oh! 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 I didn't even see that. It was burrowed behind the tree. He just burrowed two Banelings there. No way! No way! No way! He's been dead for the last 5 minutes, but REYNOR right now finds an epic burrowed Baneling. He does have 1-1 upgrades on the way as well. He's still so low on economy, it might not matter. This might be one of those, like, cool highlight plays that you manage to pull off as you're losing the game sort of thing. This is too obvious. There's no way Clem runs over that without scanning. Oh my gosh, he's so close to walking into that. Okay, he scans, takes it down. REYNOR's going to keep trying to jump on top. He's going to watch out for these Widow Mines. Widow Mines get good hits on the Widow Mines. The Roachling Muta needs to pull away. These Roaches do not have Roach speed. They will get taken down. 5 more Mutas are on the way. They're going to have +1. 1-1 kicking in for the Zerglings as well. It was a massive burrowed Baneling. But as is so often the case, burrowed Banelings are one of those things. Zergs tend to land massive Banelings with the burrow when they don't have much else to manage. And that's the big problem. There's not much else for REYNOR to manage. He doesn't have any workers on his 4th base at 12 minutes in the game. Oh, good spread on the Muta to pull that away. And catching the Thor was huge as well. I mean, REYNOR's so expertly using the handful of units he has. The problem, of course, is the fact that it is just a handful. These guys might be too deep, though. This is actually a crazy push. If this was anyone but Clem, I'd say this is an obvious mistake. Oh, dude, he took 1 Baneling on the chin. 1 Baneling on the chin, but he didn't take a second Baneling. It takes 2 Banelings to kill those units, and there's no Mutalisks there to shut it down. If those Mutas were looping back around, that whole drop might have got caught. But Clem is the psycho who pulls this sort of move off consistently. He's such a D-bag, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. Oh, Widow Mines! My gosh, the Mutalisks get massacred. They do kill a lot of SCVs, but a lot of Mutas went down. Actually, not as many as I thought. So many are damaged. The damage is so spread across all of them, but didn't actually kill that many. Dude, these 2-2 Marines are really hard for Mutas to deal with, but they're only popping out a few at a time. So many SCVs going down. Banelings are here. Dude. Clem, surely, dude, if REYNOR can win this game while being this far behind in economy for this long, that would be crazy. Banelings, can they connect? Going after the Marines, he gets a few decent connections, but overall a good spready. The Lings do clear the Thor, though. No hot pickup on that bad boy. Oh, the Widow Mines. The Widow Mines are always a problem for Mutalisks. And remember, there's a 4th command center mining. Only 44 workers. But look at that. He even shimmied the Thor over there to help defend these. So the Thor is going to chase after them. Mutas are going to rotate here, finding SCVs where they can, rotating between the bases. No 5th base. Clem's like, how are you still in this game, bro? You have no economy. Aren't you dead? I mean, we know, yes, the economy is pretty dead for him, but 2-2's almost there. That's going to be like the most, like, you know, right now he's behind 3 upgrades. It's going to be 1 upgrade when 2-2's finished. Couple of mines could be getting caught. Dude, the medevac chase is actually really sick. Gets himself another Mutalisk. Also just kind of pushes them into the corner. It takes a lot of APM and micro to do this, but Clem never really has a shortage of those, does he? Mutas are going to chase after it. Gets a boost just in time. And the medevac escapes and the Thor unloads. You're kidding me. Gets 2 Mutas on the... Oh my gosh. Clem's Thor drop micro is so sick. Widow Mine does clear a few of these Banes. +2 Carapace is finally kicked in. I love the Ling counter. The problem the Lings are going to have is the upgrade differential. Means even a small number of Marines in a choke point is more than enough to defend them. Lingbane Muta rolls forward, trying to chase this army down. The Lings are into the base at the same time. Does split a single Baneling to take out that Widow Mine. The Muta's going after everything. There's so many medevacs. He can't possibly hope to snipe all of those. He's going to pull back with this main army. Of course, the Lings have been in for about 20 seconds now. They've killed 14 SCVs. This is pretty big damage. Dude, I love that REYNOR right now is he's zombieing Clem. And what I mean by that, well, not even zombieing, but basically he's running around. He's had a damage over time effect that we know was going to cause lethal for the last 5 minutes. And yet he is now up 30 supply. He keeps on using healing potions when he's on 1 hit point. And he's just like, he's running around. We know it's inevitable that he dies in this game. Like, you can't possibly not die as a Zerg with this economy. And yet he is up 20 supply. He's still way behind in upgrades and tech. It's still a desperate spot. He does lose his 4th, which is tragic. He doesn't have another hatchery. If he had another hatchery, he could transfer workers, but his mineral income is going to absolutely get blasted now. He needs to rebuild the hatchery right now. Oh, dude, if he was able to transfer workers, it'd be great, but he's out of minerals in the main. Natural's half out, third's half out. He's essentially on like 1 base, maybe slightly over mineral mining. That number's going to drop over the next few seconds, especially as the main base minerals mine out. Widow mines are getting taken care of, but now Clem says, okay, I've forced you home. Now let's force that frontal fight, that thing you've been avoiding for the last 5 minutes. REYNOR has so little money. He has no Banelings right now, which means the frontal fight he will lose if it happens. He's trying to go pure Ling Muta, which I think means he's basically saying, I will try to drag Widow mines onto you. Essentially, if REYNOR can convince the Widow Mines to attack their own units, then he can win this game. But that's a big ask. I know they'll do a bit of friendly fire inevitably, but can he land a big Widow Mine in the center of the Terran army? I don't think so. Banes aren't ready. Oh gosh, he's morphing Banes in vision. That's really scary, man. Muta's going to go for the counter. They're going to find the 4th base, but REYNOR, his workers are mining in range of that army. The Marines here will take out 1 or 2 Mutas before the Mutas do get on top. The Planetary of the 4th is going to go down. Banelings are finished morphing, but he doesn't really have the setup to engage just yet, REYNOR. He's lost 18 workers of his own. He's going to lose the rest on that base. Planetary does get repaired. The Mutalisk count, he's still at 17 Mutas. He will overwhelm these Marines. Dude, that Widow Mine's going to do a boom boom. Not quite the correct split there, but that's okay. More drones going down in the natural as well. REYNOR still has half a base mining on his 3rd. He's going to take out the 4th base here. His Muta count down to just 13 Mutalisks. 13 Mutt-Mutts remaining. He does still have a pack of Lingbane. He's got to save these and burrow them everywhere. But keep in mind, there's still Widow Mines all over the place. He's only got 1 Overseer. The Lair's going to go down, and he's only got 1 Overseer, which means if this red hit point Overseer dies, he has no way of revealing the Widow Mines. The Widow Mine takes out. No! Okay, the Overseer survives. I mean, if that Overseer goes down, he is so screwed. The income right now for Clem down in the dumps. REYNOR is honestly, I gotta say, this is amazing. I feel like Clem is fighting a toxic slug right now, where like it's inevitable. He's a friggin' 400 level 43 barbarian. He's gonna beat a toxic slug, but every time he hits the slug with his barbarian axe, it like it shoots bloody acid and toxic juices on him and gives him a poison effect. You know, it's it's like the barbarian will eventually squash the slug, but how many times is he gonna get poisoned in the process? REYNOR made that so frigging hard for Clem to win that game. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, let's get a replay. I think, when did the Burrowed Bane happen? Was it about here? Oh, maybe later. Oh, that was so slick. I have no shame about missing this, guys. I have no shame about missing this live. Because how was I ever going to see that? Is this live or recorded? Is your mom live or recorded, Zach Brigay? That's right. You've got a hologram, mom, you fucking loser. Nice. All right, guys, so check this out. He chased him off, and then look at this. He hides behind the friggin' trees. 3 banelings. Look at this. This is slower than actual game speed, and then... Wait. What was the Marine difference? How many actual Marines did he kill? So he's on like 54, 54, 54, 54, 24, 30 Marines. 10 Marines per baneling. That was 3 banelings, and he took out 30 Marines. Holy crud. Wow, that's one of the biggest burrowed baneling bombs I've ever seen. Beautiful setup there for REYNOR. The reason they were so clumped is because the Marines were coming around a corner. Whenever units come around a corner, they all like clump up more, trying to squeeze through this little area because the guys that are blocked by the tree are all kind of pushed this way, but the guys from the left are trying to take the fastest path around the corner as well. So they're all kind of jamming themselves in. Oh. All right, guys, we got Clem in the bottom right side of the map. REYNOR in the top left side. Basilisk up against Team Liquid. Game 3. I think if REYNOR didn't commit so hard to the Roach Zergling into the Banshee, which is always awkward, I think that would have been maybe I think it would have been possible to transition off of that, even with the quick third versus the 2x sweep, which, like I said, is always really hard because you'd much rather not be taking the third and just, making queens, making lings, making a quick ling speed, and just having a bit more money for early drones. Because when you suddenly are stuck on 18 drones, building nothing but Zerglings and queens trying to survive, it's really hard. If you're at 20 drones, you might think it's not that big a difference. That 10% eco difference that early is such a big launching point for just getting a bit more minerals to get into that next stage of the game. Barracks gas on the way. Looks like a pretty standard barracks gas. Winter Madness, pretty balanced map. Now, one of the things I've noticed is REYNOR likes to take this right side base. I hate it. I think just take this base on 20, 27 supply anytime before that SCV gets there to block it. Is my favorite thing to do. Delay your ling speed a little bit, like pull off gas as the hatchery's just about to finish. Just leave one worker to finish off, and I think that's a really good way to do it. So I think as long as you do the third hatchery like before Overlord, that's okay, but you got to get the drone out there nice and early. And he sees the SCV coming. So let's see if REYNOR makes that decision. And then we'll go check in on Clem's build order, whether it's 3cc or not afterwards. Been trying to do a bit better about talking about Terran builds since you guys gave me a lot of feedback on that. Cast so many Clem games, and so often I was just not quite cheering for him to lose, but focusing on how the hell will the opponent beat him. And don't get me wrong, that's a big part of the hype of any Clem game, is how is anyone even going to take a map off the friggin' freak because he is that good? It's kind of the same when people play against Saril, right? Like, how are people going to do anything to surprise him? But you can see here, it's going to be 27 before Overlord. Now, it's kind of odd that Clem went to the right side. Because REYNOR's gone to that right side hatchery a few times, he just lets him take this base. That's kind of funny. I think Clem mind-gamed himself a little bit there because he didn't see the drone head out to the base. I wonder if Clem just goes directly to the left of the SCV, checks for the drone, hunts down for it, if that's better for him. I think it is. All right, Reaper's going to dance around. Third hatcheries here. Overlord built afterwards. We've got 3 more drones. Ling speed starts on 31 supply. I think that's to be safer against early Hellions, but this is a 3cc. It's not a double gas build, so I would say would have been slightly better probably for REYNOR to go earlier Overlord and third Queen and then delay Ling speed until 36 supply, but it's not a crazy deal. There we go. Third Queen finally starts at 3 minutes. Queen's in position, as are the Zerglings. Good damage. Oh, he blocked him from jumping back down. That's trapped. That's huge. The Reaper is such a big support unit for the Hellions normally. He's going to get 1 or 2 Zerglings on his way out, of course, because it's a Clem Reaper. He dies with spite. Does end up down here in the flower bed, creating a bit of fertilizer for some of those nice little bushes. So they probably need. It's Winter Madness, man. It's a cold, harsh environment. Any nutrients they can get. It's astonishing how big the weather differences are between New Zealand and Australia. So you guys talking about that? Yeah, well, I mean, you got to realize even in Australia, like, one of the things I didn't realize as a kid is how quickly weather changes based on like, oh, we went up a few hundred meters. Suddenly it's cold. We went, you know, I always like going to the Blue Mountains here in Sydney because you're up on the top of the plateau and it's pretty dry and like kind of that semi-arid Aussie bushland, and then you just drop down into a canyon and you're like, oh, are we in rainforest right now? Like, it's so moist and humid and there's like just tropical ferns and things everywhere, and you're like, oh, cool, you know. And it's just altitude in mountains changes things. I don't think I ever saw a more extreme example of that than going up that mountain in Palm Springs, where you're just like, we're in the middle of the desert, and you just go up this mountain and you're like, there's like friggin' deer and stuff hopping around, and there's like alpine snow forest, and you're like, okay, this is weird. This is a very drastic change. Layers on the way. No extra gas. I'm looking for extra gases right now because I'm wondering if Reynor is going to do something tricky. He's definitely not doing his Ling Infesta build, which has been his go-to on this map recently. Clem's going 3cc, Hellion Banshee, second and third barracks. He should be going third and then fourth gas and then double engineering bay. Sometimes he goes double eBay before the fourth gas, but there we go. Yeah. It's always the same order. It's not about exact timing of things, getting good at these build orders like Clem is. It's just about consistent ordering of priorities. And that's what build orders are all about. There we go. Double engineering bay. Terran builds are really nice because as detailed as they are, they're very modular. You can kind of plug and play them into different follow-ups, different transitions, different matchups. Hellions are going to get a queen. Oh! Reynor, he thought the queen was dead, so he just gave up on it, started running her forwards again. Does try to get her out, but the Banshee does confirm the kill. Oh my gosh, 2 queen kills. This is big. The queens that actually have energy are finally arriving. You got to save her. You got to save her. Reynor, he just loses a queen with transfuse. Reynor with a lot of unforced errors. He is going for that spire that I was wondering about. He is going for 4 gas spire, 4th hatchery. He's just lost 2-3 queens. 3 queens this early is really bad. He needs to pull every queen to the front right now. He literally needs to pull even in his injecting queen in the main. He needs her on the front right now. Dude, he should not be losing this 4th. He's going to go for a surround here. The hatchery gets targeted by Clem, and Reynor cancels it at the last second. That was a really good cancel for Reynor, realizing that Clem knew his Hellions were going to get surrounded. He just wanted to get the hatchery out of spite. Their Hellions actually survive as well. No way. Queen's taking big damage. It looks like, okay, the Hellions will go down. And the Banshees do both survive to repair and live another day. Spire's coming up, which is good for Reynor. I think that was like one of those things where it started quite bad for Reynor, but then Clem got so excited that even though he cancels the 4th base, I don't think Reynor cares too much. Because he killed all their Hellions, I mean, if he got the Banshees, he'd be feeling happier. The fact of the matter is, he didn't miss too many injects. He's rebuilding his queens. Like, the overall value was negative, but it wasn't as negative as it could have been. And I think you kind of want to stop at 70 workers to build around a Mutalisks now anyway. You weren't going to be droning this 4th just yet. You were gonna build Mutas, you were going to make then 1-1 upgrades, Bane Speed, a few Zerglings. Obviously, he wants to drone that base soon. And Clem already moving out. Second factory's on the way. He's got 2 tanks, 2 Banshees, and 18 Marines. 18 Marines is not that many, but good Zergling scout. He sees it coming. He's got 27 Zerglings, plus the Mutas and the Queens. I think Reynor can just jump on this army and kill it. If he waits for the Mutas before he springs the trap. But his Mutas are going to go across the map instead, which is not a bad choice if he can defend this 4th. If he can't, that's when you'll regret it. The Lings and the Queens thinking about going forwards. The tank's very far back. Already baited his stim. If he full surrounds the Marines, it could be nice. Oh, it's 2 tanks now. But nothing that shoots up on the 3rd. Focus the Banshees first, I think. I guess they can cloak. That's why he doesn't want to go for it. The Marine stim over. Nice reaction. Reynor not watching because he's jumping on top of the siege tanks, but he's not going to be able to kill that. Oh, this is a bad choice by Reynor. Should not have pulled the trigger there. He's already lost 3-4 of his Mutalisks. 4 of his Mutalisks have gone down. 5 of his Mutalisks have gone down. 4, I should say. Sorry, it was 7. 4 Mutas have gone down, and he loses his Lings and the 4th base. If he jumped on this army with everything in the open, I think he could have dealt with it, right? If he had to kind of ambush it, or he had to be willing to give up this base, not fight, while the Mutas were microing a bit more actively, dancing around, I think giving up the 4th base could have worked as well. But he needed to make one of those decisions. We know that. He thought, oh, I think I can just defend this. This is not that many Marines. But of course, Stim Marines and tanks hugging the edge of the map where the Lings can't really surround them. It's just such a different story, isn't it? Does get rid of both of those with the Oversight giving him temporary extra vision on the Overseer. Even though the Overseer couldn't keep moving to chase. Just got 1 extra volley off. Reynor's still on 74 workers. New 4th base is mining. The problem, of course, is he's still about a minute behind on upgrades. 2-2's coming in. 4th command center for CLEM. CLEM now has the Widow Mine count starting to grow. Oh, REYNOR tries to ambush. If he can get rid of the tanks, this is super worth. Very good engage. That's really worth it. Obviously, yes, he loses a bunch of Ling Bane, but he needed to get rid of the tanks because that was just such long-ranged firepower that now CLEM lacks. So he's going to have to push a bit deeper. CLEM's though... Oh my god, REYNOR's army is so small. He's at 6-7 army supply right now against 112, guys. I know a lot of 9-year-olds all around the world probably think 6-7 wins anything, but I think they're in for a rude awakening. Funnily enough, that's also the average age of your standard REYNOR fan, 6 or 7, just so you guys know. Zerg players, what can I say? Literal dumb children. Ling Bane trying to engage. Muta's going to rotate around. But it's not a scary amount of mutas, it's a handful. It's just pure Marine Mine. So he can't really shove on creep. He just can kind of bait REYNOR into bad engagements. REYNOR finds a Widow Mine, that's something. He's started 2-2, but 2-2's about to finish. So we're going to have 2 minutes of upgrade advantage. Nice Thor using that extreme long anti-air range to try and push these mutas away. Mutas are going to have to dive through the main to get out of here, or maybe through this channel here. They can definitely take 1 or 2 Thor shots. It's the Marines they can't fly over. Gosh, I'm so excited casting this series. I'm like moving around in my chair. I'm getting into all sorts of weird postural positions. I got to remember to like relax my body. I just get so amped up watching these guys. I really like the way Clem's playing it slow, guys, because remember when concussive and he gets about 8 to 10 Marauders in front of his Marine Mine Thor, that's when Ling Bane Muta cannot win a fight. And what can REYNOR do? Well, REYNOR needs a big enough army to counterattack, to create movement. He can't fight this army front on. He should know, okay, Terran's on 4 bases. He's going to have Marauders. REYNOR needs to go around. And you can see he's sending some Lings, but it's just going to be so hard. I feel like he can barely even stall out the advance. Look at the spread. You see, yeah, Clem wants to force that fight now. Mutas are in the main, picking off a few tech labs. There are some Widow Mines here. Some Lings are going to run in on top of the 3rd base. The natural wall-off is raised, though. And these Lings, they're pretty cheap units, but remember, REYNOR is not even max, so he's got to find some value. Planetary's up on the 4th. He gets like a tank, a bit of mining time, a few turrets. He does a bit of a burrow. He is picking off some barracks, which is nice. He's thinking about diving forward. The Marines, what the hell is Clem doing? Oh my god, Clem moving far away from his Widow Minefield. No Marauders, no Thors to support. It was just a pack of Marines out there in the middle of nowhere. Loses about 20 Marines before they pick up. Clem making a few little mistakes here and there. The Medevac's trying to fly away. The Ling Bane is going to try to roll on top. The Mutas do fly into the Marines and get killed. I don't think REYNOR's going to be able to overwhelm this army. There's still enough Marauders in reserve, not to mention the 40 Marines that can unload from those Medevacs. Units lost up still 5,000 in favor, but he does at least get some Burrowed Banelings. I'm not sure about that Burrowed Baneling placement. I just heard some Banelings blow up. I don't know exactly what on. Looks like a Marauder died down there. And Scan's going to come forward. Oh my god, that Widow Mine recharging at the most terrible moment for REYNOR, dragging into the middle of the Banes. The Ling's countering down here as well. Trying to dance this way and that. Oh! Ling's going after the SCVs. Scan goes up. He sees no hive. That's Clem's notice to say, calm down. Take your time. Just don't make... He knows that REYNOR's just looking for mistakes. And after what happened in the last game, I think REYNOR's even more on his toes about, like, as long as there's no corner base, he knows REYNOR is so screwed the longer this game goes. So he's just like, okay, take time, check my corners, establish the 5th, build a few more bits of safety. He's so methodical. Yeah, this is... He just doesn't want to give REYNOR any chances, and he can stand and fight there. No Banelings. So those guys can distract, and he's going to try and dive the right. He doesn't have many Widow Mines with his army, which I'd say is why, yeah, stepping on creep would be a bad idea. REYNOR's once again going to go for a Ling counter, but because the Planetary's up, he's not really able to find much here, right? And you can see Clem pretty quickly turns with most of his army to come home. These Marines might take some juicy Banes, but of course he's watching, because his name is Clem and he has unlimited micro potential. Ling's doing big damage on that 3rd base. These guys are going to try to run away from the Mutiling. The fact that he picked that up while running SCVs from this base and stimming his army back, insane. The Mutas will get on top, but dude, these are +2 Mutas against 3/3 Marines. And that Marauder is distracting all the Lings on the high ground. So whilst he does clean it up, you can see how hard it is. He unburrows a few Zerglings though, does REYNOR. And these Zerglings are still burrowed there as well. He's creating chaos, but he's doing it from an 81 drone, rather contained economy. The fact that this base has survived all game is actually very impressive. SCVs beat those Zerglings. That's hilarious. And more Zerglings coming in for counter wave 37. He knows he can't fight front on. REYNOR needs to abandon this hatchery, but of course that feels like a pretty bad choice that one has to make. Lings are there as well. These units in trouble. It is just changelings down on that side. The Lings on the counter. They're going to do a bit of damage, but it's really just chipping at Clem's economy, which is still remaining rather substantial. Marauders and Mines and Marines going to try and force a fight. This is only part of Clem's army, but it might be a big enough part that REYNOR just can't fight it. He's forced so many units to be at home, to be in production, to be defending, but he's down 2 upgrades. He does almost get the Thor, but not quite. Beautiful op pickups. It's all about Banelings and Widow Mines doing friendly fire because your Zerglings kind of struggle. That Widow Mine cleared a lot of Marines, actually. It says 0 kills. Apparently, they don't count Marine lives or friendly fires as kills, even though they are. A bit of blue on blue there for Clem. And definitely not something you want. I love this, by the way, guys. This pervert Zergling can see when the army's moving out in this direction. He's also got an Overseer in that main base. Ling Bane's going to jump on top. Clem focuses down a whole bunch of Banes. Picks up, pulls back here to this little choke point in the middle. That Widow Mine gets a big smear. And of course, REYNOR getting forced back. REYNOR needs this base up to the right. Another scan goes down here. Clem's just kind of like, how are you even still in this? But I think there's just this thing that happens when a Zerg gets this small. They don't have many bases, so there's not as many easy attack angles to find good fights for the Terran, number one. Number two, the Zerg just has less stuff to manage. So REYNOR is more able to be very technical and precise because he's just got less units to manage, less things to protect, less things to overwhelm. He doesn't have any creep spread to distract him because he doesn't even have any active tumors or queens that aren't busy injecting. Oh, that retarget on the mine was actually just, that was wicked. Dude, Clem's Widow Mine retargets are one of the most disgusting things. So sick. Oh, he finds a worker line as well. And he focuses all the Marines on the Banes. Dude, you sick puppy. You sick puppy. And he picks up and drops as well. Oh, so illegal, dude. This is like when Clem has an advantage in these games, it's actually just crazy what he gets done with his bio. At least he's overstimmed here. Some transfuses by a second a time. Mutalisks will take care of this. But REYNOR, of course, barely mining on 5 base, somehow keeping the supply look competitive. He's got Adrenal coming in, but he doesn't have the money to make 3-3, which means, you know, it's not about, oh, he just needs time to get 3-3. He can't afford 3-3, man. And Clem is like, I've got a forward 6th base coming up. I'm moving forward. I'm clearing changelings. Like, he's just so patient and precise. And his army on the right is going to stem back. Should be able to defend this base. Gosh, it's a lot of +2 mutas. Not quite able to get the planetary. Clem does defend for now. Can the Ling Bane defend here? Problem is, trying to get these Widow Mines to defuse is so hard. So many turrets on that base. Mutas have to fly right past. Ling Bane tries to roll forwards, but look at that retarget on the Mutalisk there. That was a manual retarget for Clem. You could see he changed it from a Zergling to the Mutalisk, knowing that's always going to be a good prize for that Widow Mine shot. And another good Widow Mine shot there. That one doesn't land as much, but he picks up, saves most of his units, boosts to safety, and absolute insanity. What Terran is able to do here. Sometimes I look at the way Clem plays with like boosted medevacs and stim Marines, and I kind of look at it and like I kind of go, is this like the design conundrum of Terran, where like because of the way the units are so insane in the hands of a Clem, is that what makes it so hard for like slowpoke idiots who play with like lag and bad micro like me to like play late game Terran? Is because like our units can't be too good like when A moved because they're already obscene when microed perfectly by a god. So like what I'm saying is Clem's the problem, guys. If you're a Terran player like me who can't even begin to copy what Clem does, let's blame, can we all blame Clem? Can we be like, Clem counts as a 4th race and we get like separate balance patches to him? Because he's actually unfair, man. Turret's getting focused down. The muta count is still pretty impressive. He's losing all of his edge bases. REYNOR still has one more base up. But like I said, without any upgrade gap closing, there's just too many Marines, Mines, and Thors. There's 10 Mines, 1 Thor, 55 Marines. He's finding bits of damage where he can, but it's inevitable that these Mines land, that the Thor comes in and lands some big juicy volleys. Big juicy volleys, oh my gosh. And that will spell the end of that game. Nice game here for Clem, guys. I think those early Queen snipes were really, really big. And, you know, it's one of these small things where it's a fine line between spreading your creep really well in this matchup and spreading 1 or 2 too many creep tumors being a little bit too spread out with those queens on the front and then like getting caught out. So what ended up happening is these queens actually ended up with all of his transfuse energy. But then it was these queens that ended up fighting. I remember back in the day, we used to be more conservative with it, where we'd be like, oh, you can only spread 4 active creep tumors. You can see he's made 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 in the main 6. Because we were also new about our build orders works, but early Legacy, when we were like discovering the power of these like 12 worker start Hellbat timings and things, we'd be like, you can only build 4 creep tumors, and then you just save energy until like 5.5, 6 minutes. When the window where like a really aggressive Hellbat push or something like that, or 8 Hellions trying to just overwhelm your queens. And you know, sometimes they would build like 3 Reapers and 8 Hellions. They'd jump on top and bounce your queens. You'd try to have like, by not spending those, all these queens have transfuse energy. You get through this scary moment around the 5-minute mark when all the attacks can hit 4:30 to 5:30. And then you go, okay, Terran's not really committing to that. Let's throw more creep tumors down. And obviously that's not common anymore, but you can see he goes for a 7th active tumor there as well. And we'll show you what happened to these queens going down, because this is a really pivotal point. One of his queens goes back to inject. These queens waddle off creep. That was not intentional. His queens were just left standing there. The Hellions ran back, and he's like, oh, you're chasing me off creep? Okay. So he realizes these queens can't pull back, and this is actually a huge moment, because he goes for the one that has the transfuse energy. These 2 queens over here both have transfuse energy, guys. They're on like 69 and 81 energy on the top right. And then the Banshee rotates. And getting a few queens here was a really good start to this, where I think this just slowed down Clem's opening. And then the fact that the Mutas flew in, did no damage, and he lost his 4th at the same time. This game is, I would say, for anyone else, it's effectively over at 7 minutes after these Lings go in on this army while the Mutas are getting killed by the Marines, right? This is game over from here against the guy like Clem. The fact that Reynor made the game go for another over 10 minutes is crazy, impressive. But it's lights out. You've lost a few queens unnecessarily, had to cancel your 4th. Your Mutas, a bunch of them died, for 4 of them for very little damage, and you lose your 4th in a pack of Lings. Like, it's lights out at this stage. Reynor's doing a really good, impressive job fighting from behind, but he just cannot be falling behind this far against Clem. Clem leads 2-1. All right, guys, Mothership. Clem 1 game away from sealing the deal in this upper bracket finals. Reynor in the left side. Just a bit too far behind in that last game. I think 2 games in a row, I guess, really. He's kind of just found himself on the worst end of the opening. He's fought well from behind, but Clem's had a bit of an easy run once he's ahead. You've seen him just play a bit more safe. He's just been kind of like, okay, just make sure I don't lose. Which is kind of good as well to see Clem pull into that stance of, I don't need to be chaotically aggressive. If my opponent's low economy, their only way out is me overcommitting to attacks and them like countering me really well, then that could be good. Now, if we think about this map spawn, I think Reynor probably expands down here. Or do you guys think he actually goes to the front? He might take the 3rd there. I'd like 3rd here, 4th here, and then maybe 5th in this main base. I actually love expanding away from the Terran. And I think if you are expanding in this direction, you can start expanding towards the Terran in the north as well. The point being, I always feel like the way you win, especially with Mutiling Bane, which Reynor has played mostly on this map, historically, is you want the Terran to have to commit all the way down this path to deny this base up here, all the way through the middle to control the map, and then all the way down south as well. It's so far to cover to get to all these different expansions, and usually the Terran can only pressure 1 or 2 of those. 3rd angle's open, so if they're pushing really far to the south, you can counterattack as the Zerg here into the natural from this top left lane. So I kind of think this map, it's kind of like a Dota map, you know, it's a 3-lane map if you expand like that. But Reynor's going to start with the 3rd towards the Terran. Might open up with a Roach style to help defend that a bit easier, we'll see. Okay. Zergling's dancing. Reaper has to pull away now. Doesn't get any kills just yet, but you have to build a spore here. Don't be too cocky. And he might come back in to try to snipe these drones, so you really have to respect this. Early creep tumor in the face of the Reaper. That was very cocky for Reynor. With the 2nd queen not quite in position yet, but hey, he's done well. He's gotten away with it. I love that he's going for early creep tumors again. I do think it's something that top Zergs are underestimating the power of that early creep spread and just how much it allows you to control the game as well as get that creep far on the map. Supply blocked on 36 is relatively standard. There's nothing, you know, crazy about that. Builds another Overlord while he's waiting. Drones go down. Reaper's going to jump in. Shouldn't be able to get any kills. As long as Reynor does pull away the weak drone if he needs to. And the Zerglings block in time. Nope, that's a giant ledge. Very hard to block that. Starport's on the way. It is a 3cc Hellion Banshee. CLEM not mixing any 2-on-1s in. That's interesting. Feeling like the 2-on-1's not as good against Reynor. That's really fascinating because I think 2-on-1 is like his best anti-Serral build. 3cc 2-on-1 historically. It's the one Serral seems to really struggle with. But Reynor actually feels like has put the fear into CLEM of doing that build. Ever since he did that Ling Flood counterattack that just got a free win against him doing it. He hasn't done it since then. Or maybe once, but not often. I mean 1-1-2. I like 1-2-1 or 1-1-3. Are you saying random numbers now? 1-1-2 is 2 Starport, mate. 1-2-1 is 2 factories in a Starport. Those are both bad. 1-1-3 is 1 barracks, 1 factory, 3 Starports. What are these build? Those aren't build orders, Twitch chat. You're just saying numbers without knowing what they mean. Against Zerg, Marines are mad. Oh, you're actually serious? You're saying I like playing basically Sky Terran or weird mech builds. Nice. Evo Chamber, Spores on the way. Second and third barracks. Should be third and fourth gas, and then double engineering base. Same order as last game. No change needed here for CLEM. This is a solid opening. It's just about how he uses his units. And does find an early creep shimmer. 9 queens coming out. How quick is he to fast Carapace? Oh, wow. Carapace is going to start as the engineering bays begin. Beautiful upgrade timing for Reynor. He's thinking about building a Spore. Oh, so he's actually saying, look, my 4th keeps getting cancelled. Let's actually have a Spore so I can properly defend it for once. Okay, that's cool. And he gets the hatchery down. Starts with a little bit of extra minerals. Hellions try to focus it, but he sees a lot of queens there and he realizes it's probably not the best play. These queens need to split back up, though. Otherwise, this top side might be a little vulnerable. Then again, he's got Spores and single queens. Banshee's going to come in, find themselves 2 creep tumors. Nice. Oh gosh, lings aren't spread, Reynor, a bit slow to react there. The Banshee's had him distracted. Good spready on the lings reactively. Hellions will only get 2 drones, lings need to pull back. The Hellions go immediately back in. Oh my gosh, almost all of his lings are gone. Okay, Reynor needs more Zerglings right now. He's going to build only a few more, couple of popping. Queen's trying to get out there to fight. There's no Overseer just yet, though, and the Ling's going to struggle. They get a good angle, though. Even that handful of Lings, you could see when they're spread out like that, they do so much damage. These Hellions are so weak, dude. But they've still got enough to one-shot drones. Still got enough to one-shot drones, and that is a problem. That the Ling miss micro for Reynor costing him a bit. This could have been such a clean hold. As it is, he's going to lose 7 drones. Mining time. But he's got a good upgrade timing, and his 4th base is almost finished. I think that's okay. I think it's just one of those things where he was so well set up, and his opening so good with that amazing creep spread. It could have been even better. Dude, his creep's so good. He hasn't replaced it on the north, though, and that's a big problem. I think he's going to take this base in the middle. He's going to play Ling Infesta this time. Hasn't mixed this build in this series just yet. He's on 1, 2, 3. He's going to go up to 5 gases. Okay, he's building another queen in the main base. 12 queens, I think. I don't like that at all. I think 10 queens is already too many. I mean, they can buy you a bit of time with transfuse and stuff, but I don't know. 12 seems a bit ridiculous. Gotta be quick on the transfuses. The idea is the queens can just buy you that time. Marines go down. Good defense so far. There is a Spore Crawler up here, but I think he can skim past that if he's willing to risk going deeper. Queen's just letting him rotate. Okay. That is A-okay, though. Hives on the way. No Infestors just yet. Reynor a bit starved for gas. He's also almost supply blocked here. Does feel like Reynor's feeling the heat. 2nd factory, 4th command center for CLEM. He's got the double E-bait. Does he have the armory, guys? He's forgot his armory! No, he hasn't. It's almost finished. Okay, sorry, guys. The armory is building. In behind the natural. I'm not sure why that didn't take me there when I clicked that at first. Maybe the production tab moved because something else popped onto it. That +2 Carapace getting a very good lead for it. A few Infestors coming out as well. 12 queens is so crazy. He's actually going to expand to the far bottom. Banshees are going to go deny that. Ah, it's the power of keeping these ladies alive. No defending that hatchery. It's too far off creep. Queens can't get there. Mass marine mines coming in. Looking for fungal. It's only 60 zerglings, not a lot. The queens were way out of position here. Fungal does not land. Oh man, where is Reynor's army? I guess he's counterattacking. Okay, sorry guys, I'm blind. Tank on the high ground will defend that. 10 SCVs have gone down. The queen's struggling. Looks like he landed one more fungal, but he doesn't have enough zerglings. The queens are getting run through. They don't have any damage, these queens. Zergling count not quite there. Oh, the Widowmine actually does a fair bit of friendly fire there. Bit of a mistake for Clem to not focus that down. Command Center does survive. A few lings coming back. It looks like Clem here just finding a bit too much damage, a bit too much disorganization for Reynor in the midst of that opening. I guess the Hellions and the Banshees just denied so much attention for Reynor. Made him panic so hard. Those Hellions getting in when they did was really big. I think Reynor, I would hedge my bet that he grouped all of his queens on one control group when he moved them to defend the 4th base. I've made the same mistake so many times with this style that he's playing, and I'll talk about it at the end of this, but he's down in the dumps right now. Another hatchery gets killed, not cancelled. Massling needs to get in. He's got to get in the natural. He's got to get in the natural. Let's go, 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 go. Sergeant Chadhammer's still on the high ground. Plenty of Marines, though. Not enough Zerglings to risk doing that. Drilling Claws Widowmine burrows before he can get on top of it. And even with the +2 carapace upgrade advantage, if you're outnumbered like this, that's really, really nasty. Ultra's coming out now. Will be a 2-2 or 1-2 Ultra. Kindness Blading's on the way. But these Ultras need to just get such crazy value. There's already Libs and Marauders coming in. Clem running into Fungal. No stranger to that. It's very common for Clem to eat some nasty Fungals. Despite that, saves a few of those Marines. Is going to boost into the main. He's got a main army pushing the middle at the same time. Can't believe he saved 5 of those Red Hit Point Marines. Queens will come north, but without Zerglings underneath, the Marines can just unload. There we go. Lings do get on top. Fungal's a bit too slow. Doesn't cast it. And the Biolib's going to push the south. If Reynor loses this base, he's back to 3 hatcheries, something he cannot afford to have happen. And yet that's exactly what will be happening here. Widowmine smearing the Zerglings. The Bio does take out the hatchery. Stutter steps back. The Lib's taking out some of these units. The Infestors survive. But Reynor's both on 3 bases. And there was a redrop up on the top side as well. You can see these units were coming in. So he was absolutely wiped out in this game. Let me talk about what I think went wrong in this one, guys, because this was a really good best of 5, but it was all about the early games kind of slipping away. Remember when he took that 4th base and he built the Spore Crawler, which is really odd already, but he wanted to secure the quick 4th. And he realized the Banshees coming there and him not having detection was the problem. And he has, up to this point, these guys are on, let's say, Control Group 2, Control Group 3, or Control Group 2 and 4 would be more standard, something like that. I think he's thrown these all onto Control Group 4 or Control Group 2. And then the Hellion Banshee doesn't really commit. And normally, the way you do this, if you look at this from his vision, is you're already moving 3 of these queens back north. Because you always want 3 here, 3 here. You want to have kind of that spread of queens, right? Or 3 on one side, 4 on the other, whatever works. Instead, he's not moving quickly enough. They're all in one control group, and the Hellions just slide in for free. Even there, if he was paying attention, wasn't distracted by the Banshees or the Injects or wherever his camera was, these Lings could have easily blocked those Hellions getting through here, forced them to turn around. But the moment these Hellions get through here, it's chaos, and whilst he minimizes the damage very expertly, the Hellions just cause way too much. Because look, because the Zerglings have to occupy them while waiting for the Queens, he loses most of his Lings, and the Hellions just walk straight past. Reynor's worried about the Banshee. He doesn't want to take too much damage from the Queens, but now the Hellions are just like, lol, we can just walk straight past. Anytime Hellions try to push through Zerglings on creep when the Zerglings are actually spread out like this, look at how much damage these like 5 heavily damaged Zerglings do. They do a lot of damage. If he's got 15 Zerglings, even 12 there, it's going to shut these Hellions down, but he's just lost a few too many. The damage starts to stack up a little bit. And it's like, oh, we just took a bit more damage than we should have. Equal workers with Terran is never good for this stage. He does have a 4th up and he does drone pretty quickly. But I think what I would have liked to see for Reynor here is stay at 9 queens, at most 10. I don't know why he kept messing queens. And use this minerals instead to build a 5th base down here is fine. This base here is probably not a bad idea as well. I think this 5th base might actually be the right play here because he can't defend the bottom one. But take another hatchery, take a macro hatchery. Instead of spending all this minerals on queens, he needs production desperately. He can't afford to miss any injects. And it's already 7 minutes and he's only got 4 hatcheries. He needs injects on this hatchery as well. Like these queens need to be, he needs to be splitting a queen off to stack injects on this hatchery because what he needs is a massive Zerglings. If you're playing Ling Infestor, you don't have Banelings as a stop. You need a crazy amount of lava. And he's just been so distracted with the constant pressure. He never gets out from under the thumb of CLEM. He's already dealing with Stim Marines and he hasn't built the hatcheries. And he's floating 900 minerals and he's supply block. At this point, by the time the game-ending pushes come, he's only at 713. That's a really big problem. Like, it's too late. It takes 70 seconds to build a hatchery and then 30 seconds for the first inject to pop out. He's not going to have any payoff from any new hatcheries for a few minutes. He's still not injected his 4th base. Macratch has finally come down, but you can just see he's really going to be struggling to spend his money in this game. And the Infestors are also very late, right? The Infestors aren't out very early, so it felt like he was just a bit too slow to get both production, Infestors, and the mass Zergling out that he needed to make this style work. As well as, of course, his queens being out of position, which is why that Marine push was able to get up here and spread a giant battle line where his Fungals weren't able to land. Great play for CLEM, though. Really good job handling with Burrowed Banelings and sneakiness from REYNOR, but CLEM's openings were just too solid and too good. GG, well played.